So, we spent the last episode asking the big questions, the philosophical stuff. What does it mean when AI can actually do things, not just talk about things? What happens to human agency, accountability, purpose? All very important, all very comfortable in that let's think about this abstractly way. But here's the thing. I reckon most of you weren't really listening for philosophy. You were waiting for this episode. You're thinking, all right, enough already. Who's safe and who's not? And look, I get it. That's the question that keeps people up at night, especially in tech, especially if you've built your career on skills that, well, an agent can now do faster, cheaper, and honestly, sometimes better. So let's not dance around it. Let's be brutally honest about what the agentic shift actually means for your job. Now, here's where most people go wrong. They hear AI is coming for jobs, and they think, right, I need to learn to code. Here's the uncomfortable truth. That ship has sailed, and honestly, it was never the life raft people thought it was. Learning to code in 2025 is a bit like learning to type in 1995. Useful? Sure. Your ticket to job security? Not anymore. Because agents write code. They write it bloody good code, actually. They're already handling boilerplate, debugging, even some architectural decisions. So if your coding job is primarily about turning requirements into working syntax, and I know this sounds harsh, you're more vulnerable than you think, but before you panic, let's talk about the hierarchy. Not the org chart hierarchy, the value hierarchy. What actually matters in an agentic world? At the bottom of that pyramid, you've got tasks. Simple, repeatable, process-driven work. The kind of thing that's already been automated in waves 1 and 2. Agents are going to sweep through this layer completely. I'm talking data entry, basic testing, standard documentation, routine analysis. If your role is mainly executing well-defined procedures, I won't sugarcoat it. The writing's on the wall. Not because agents are magical, but because they were literally built for this. They thrive on structure. And that's exactly what those jobs offer. Moving up, we've got what I'd call execution roles. This is where a lot of developers sit right now. You take a brief, you write the code, you ship the feature. Here's the uncomfortable bit. Agents are already doing this. Not perfectly, not for everything, but they're doing it well enough that the volume of human execution work is going to shrink dramatically. The junior developer who used to churn through tickets, that role is evolving fast. Companies are already realizing they can agent assist a smaller team to do what a larger team used to do. Now here's the twist, and this is where people get it wrong. Senior roles aren't automatically safe either. There's this assumption that if you're senior enough, you're strategic, you're architectural, you're irreplaceable. But actually, the agents are coming for that too, just from a different angle. See, the value of senior experience used to be partly about knowing how to do things. That's eroding fast. What's left is the judgment, knowing why to do things, knowing what matters, knowing what the business actually needs. And that's valuable, don't get me wrong, but it's a narrower band than it used to be. You can't just coast on years of experience anymore. You actually have to be using that experience in ways agents can't mimic. So where does that leave us? What does the hierarchy of human value actually look like? At the top, I'd put what I'm calling the AI translator role. This is huge, and I think it's the single most important emerging category. These are the people who sit between the technical world and the human world. They understand what agents can do, they understand what humans need, and they can bridge that gap. They design workflows, they prompt effectively, they know when to intervene and when to let the agent run. They spot when things have gone wrong. They're not necessarily the best coders, but they understand the system well enough to make it sing. If you're in tech and you're wondering where to position yourself, this is the lane. The demand for this is going to be enormous. Then there's domain expertise combined with AI fluency. This is where the magic happens. You know the industry, legal, finance, healthcare, whatever, and you know how to wield an agent as a multiplier. Not just using it, but knowing what it gets wrong, what it misses, what the edge cases are. That's a powerful combination. The agent can do the heavy lifting, but the human with domain knowledge knows when the answer is wrong. That pairing is genuinely hard to replace. And then, perhaps most importantly, there's the human relationship layer. Building trust with clients, navigating politics, understanding what someone actually wants when they can't articulate it, negotiating a deal where the stakes are high and the other person needs to feel heard. Agents are getting better at the transactional stuff, but the relationship stuff, that's sticky. That's where humans retain an edge for a very long time. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not telling you this to make you feel hopeless. I'm telling you because the people who thrive in this transition are the ones who see it coming and adapt. The skills that transfer, critical thinking, relationship building, domain expertise, systems design, those are the ones that will carry you through, not the specific technical skills you learned last year. Those are disposable now. The human stuff, the judgment stuff, the connecting stuff, that's your armor. So here's the question I want you to take into next episode. You've heard what's coming, you've heard where the threats are and where the opportunities are. So what do you actually do about it? How do you position yourself? What does it mean to ride this wave rather than get crushed by it? That's what we're diving into next time. Practical strategies, real advice, no fluff. See you there.